And we're ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's city council meeting. For those who are attending remotely, the camera in council chambers is set up to show those attending in person tonight. The platform we are using has a raised hand feature. You will notice a picture of a hand in the upper right-hand corner. When we reach the point in the meeting where the public has the opportunity to address council, you can click that button to be given your opportunity to address council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tully,
Here.
Counselor Selly,
Here.
Counselor Powers, Counselor Scamperly.
Here.
Counselor Stevenson.
Here.
Counselor Tebow.
Here.
Counselor Trim. Here. Quorum present.
And Councilor Powers notified us he's traveling tonight, so he has asked to be excused from the meeting. Objection?
Yes, or no objection.
Safe travels, Councilor Powers. Okay. We have one presentation tonight from City Controller Angela Gray regarding the fiscal year 2025 quarter one financial update.
Good evening, Council. Included in your packet this evening are 4 reports, and I would just like to take a couple moments and walk you through each one of them. 2 of them are new to Council, and 2 were the format we've used previously. So the very first report to look at is titled in the top right-hand corner, Revenue Comparison. This is a new report for Council, and what it is showing us is all of the revenue by fund. So the very first page is the general fund, and the first column of numbers will show where we were at this time in 2024. The second column of numbers will show our year-to-date activity for 2025, and then the dollar variance and the percentage variance as far as an increase or decrease over the prior year. Just to kind of look high level at the general fund, prior year we received just shy of $7.1 million year to date, and this year we're slightly over 7.1 million. And so we have a variance year to date of about $33,000. Turning to page 2 of that report, it's the same format. The first bunch of accounts, they printed it in color, the highlight is blue. And this shows the revenue in the water fund year over year, first quarter. The water fund revenue, I would say, is flat, showing only a $425 increase over the prior year in total. The sewer fund, this is the one fund that does have a significant debt payment. So we monitor this revenue as well pretty close. We had 1.45 million prior year and 1.4 million current year. And so we are showing a lag of revenue of $50,000 in the sewer fund year to date. Any questions on that report?
Okay. Petition Council.
Yes. I noticed a sharp increase. Well, payment in taxes, $1,000. I didn't know where that came from.
The pilots are based upon, those are based upon assessed values. So it's possible, Councillor, that I can look at the underlying detail that one of those properties saw an increase.
Code enforcement.
Yes.
Significantly high.
Correct. I do know that last year at this time, one of my concerns was that code enforcement had 0 revenue. So I was pleased to see that there is revenue this year in that particular department to come through. When we look at the underlying revenue, there's the fines, et cetera, on the $12,000 line. They also have 2 demolitions of properties for $44,000. Some of this is late fall activity that got billed in the month of January. But definitely it was a concern that I had last year. And I think that the code enforcement has had a different opportunity, a different oversight this year. year-to-date that we're seeing in the numbers.
All right, great. One more question. On the snow removal aid,
Yes,
I see sharp increase there, 38,000. Was that a one-time increase in aid from state for a particular reason, snowstorm?
that might be better answered by Director of DPW Shane, but that is what we do receive from the county for the share.
Anyone else on council?
Similar concerns. Right here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The second report is the budget report by expense code. It's a one-page report. In the municipal accounting system, we have approximately 7 high-level categories of expenses. Personal services, equipment and capital outlay, contractual services, debt, principal and interest, our employee benefits, and interfund transfers. Personal services is everything related to wages. So we have health insurance buyouts, overtime, time accrual payouts. That's all sitting in that personal services section. Debt, principal and interest are our bond payments. Employee benefits includes health insurance, social security taxes that the city must pay, as well as retirement. So those are our major categories. What this report does is it gives you in the first column the original total budget, the current budget. So if council has made any modifications to the originally adopted budget, those are reflected in the current total budget. The period activity would just be the month which we're ending. So the period activity reflects just the month of March. The fiscal activity reflects your year-to-date information. So for this particular snapshot, it's your first quarter numbers. The variable, favorable, unfavorable is what we've done actually year-to-date versus what we've budgeted as a current total budget column. And it puts that into dollars and percentage remaining. When we look through our expenditures, revenue does not come in evenly over 12 months, but generally our expenditures, especially our personal services, should be expended at a somewhat even rate throughout the year. And we would be looking for most of our categories to read 75% or more remaining. That would be our expectation. From time to time, we don't meet that expectation, which is generally due to timing. And we'll see on a different report, there's a few categories that are currently not meeting the 75% expectation. And they are explainable. So any questions on this particular report? Just walking through it, the general fund has spent 80% of its total appropriation. I'm sorry, wrong. There's 80% remaining of the general fund's total appropriation. It'd be problematic if it was vice versa. The water has 80% remaining, and the sewer has 68.82% remaining. That is a timing issue, whereas the significant sewer debt payment is due in the first quarter. So that's what's bringing that below the 75% expectation. Okay. The next report that we prepared for you is the budget report by department. In total, the numbers are the same by fund. It dices it up a different way, and it shows you by department how the departments are performing. And we have this broken out by fund. The first page is the general fund. The second page includes the water and sewer. And by and large, all of the departments are at 75% or more remaining. When we go through, and I'll pick one out that's pretty easy, 3510, it's halfway down the column. You can see that there's 63% of this department's expenditure remaining. That particular department pays the SPCA $16,000 a year. The SPCA has already received 8 of that, so they received half of it in the first quarter, and therefore there's less than 75% remaining in that budget. We do pay a lot of our service contracts in the first quarter, so some of the specific contracts will bring that percentage below 75%, but it catches up as we get throughout the year. So again, the same numbers remain, 80% remaining in the general fund, 80% remaining in the water fund, and 70% almost remaining in the sewer fund. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay,
So looking at law,
yes.
I noticed it's about 90% remaining. It's one of the areas at budget time I was hoping we came in way under budget compared to other years, or at least recent years past. I know it's early. It's maybe too early to say. Is that a foreseeable possibility?
Being that we're ending first quarter and there's more of half the game left, I couldn't forecast where we'll be at the end of the year.
Okay.
We do have some significant projects coming up that would require legal, one being a contract negotiation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and lastly, it's a a little bit more detailed. It's a budget report by expense type. And that shows you underneath each major category what specifically we budget during the year and then where all of those are at. And again, having reviewed these, I can tell you that most of which is timing. There's one area that we're watching in all the funds, which is the heat, lights, and electric. During budget last year, these accounts looked like they did not fill the appropriation, and this year they're running, I guess I would say, ahead of budget. So those are some areas that we're just kind of watching. Again, it's very early, it's first quarter, so anything can happen in the next 9 months.
Any other questions or comments from council? So I think in general, though, looking at this, it appears most areas of the budget are within expectations, and the others have, you've explained differences tonight, so nothing jumps out as immediate concern. Although the city manager has made us aware previously about the concerns we might have about our sales tax revenue in this year. When you look at the significant decline in bridge traffic of our Canadian friends coming over to visit, shop, and center. So we'll be hearing more from that on that topic from the city manager as numbers become confirmed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Anyone else?
Mayor, if I could just make it.
Yes, please.
I want to thank the controller and her office very much for putting this together. I think it's a very useful tool. These are the documents you'll see on moving forward on a monthly basis. Every quarter, we will be doing a fiscal analysis presentation of that quarter and the year-to-date information. So you'll get this information. We won't go through it. You'll get it in your packet, or it'll be distributed to you in some way, shape, or form to be determined. And then on a quarterly basis, we'll do a deep dive as to where we are. But this is part of our attempt to make sure that council has more fiscal information, We have lots of decisions to make moving forward. We never really know what the crystal ball has for us from month to month, and making sure that council has as much fiscal information as we can provide, I think is helpful for everybody, and it's helpful as well.
Yeah, I can try. I appreciate the additional detail we provided in the new reports, and having numbers on a monthly basis, I think, is helpful for council. It's fine. So, thank you for that effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any public hearings tonight, so that brings us to personal appearance. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kylie Morrow. I stand before you tonight to voice my deep concern and dissatisfaction with the recent changes to the water and sewer practices, specifically how they unfairly target in-home daycare providers. It is unacceptable that this council has chosen to single out daycares for additional charges while other in-home businesses, particularly those that care for individuals such as adult foster homes or small residential care operations, have not been subjected to the same financial burdens. This selective enforcement is not only unfair, it sends a clear message that the important work of caring for our community's youngest citizens is somehow less valued or more expendable than the work done by other in-home businesses. Daycare providers are already operating on razor-thin margins. We are licensed, regulated, and inspected. We follow strict guidelines to ensure children's safety, learning, and well-being. Now we are being further penalized for disappropriation, high utility bills, while we provide an essential service that allows other families in Ogdensburg and the surrounding areas to work and thrive. Let me be clear, no one disputes that the water and sewer services cost money. But what we do dispute is the way that this council has chosen to apply these charges, targeting some small businesses while letting others continue without similar increases. That is not fair, it is not consistent, and it is not good governance. If the city council believes that all in-home businesses that serve multiple individuals should be assessed differently for utilities, then you must treat all such businesses equally, not just those who care for children. Picking and choosing who gets charged and who doesn't is arbitrary and discriminatory. We have created an environment where home daycares, already struggling with staffing shortages, inflation, and rising costs, now must question whether we can choose to continue to provide services to the families of Ogdensburg. Some may be forced to close, leaving parents with fewer safe and reliable options for childcare. The lack of fairness in this new billing practice undermines trust in city leadership. It sends a message that decisions are made without full consideration of their impact and without equal application of city policies. Tonight, I respectfully ask that the council revisit this policy. And if additional charges are deemed necessary, they must be applied fairly, equitably, and transparently across all in-home businesses. Anything less is simply unjust. Our community deserves better, our families deserve better, and the children we care for deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie.
Good evening. My name is Arlene Kaya, and I'm a licensed daycare provider in Ogdensburg. This is not about water and sewer. We talked about this before. The issue is now how you are billing. This all started in 2020. It's supposed to be about home-based businesses. It was said about 20 businesses were paying double taxes, but that's not true. It was 3. So you had a way of finding businesses in Ogdensburg. How's that working out for you? You took your original code and changed it to a new code. The code is equitable to everyone. Council and others had a say in change of the code, yet they had home business at their home. I feel that was a conflict of interest, and I'm sure the ethics board would too. The new codes need to be amended. There are still gray areas and a way to interpret it. Yes, it's been told on social media that a codes department is using the codes for Facebook, but codes department is using Facebook to bash the city and the taxpayers. Has spent way over budget already, April 2025, so now we're going to borrow from Peter to pay Paul because I feel that is what you're doing. Taxpayers voted you in. You say you want businesses to come here. If that's the case, make it equitable for everybody. Home business is a home business. You can't pick and choose who's going to pay. This isn't a game, but it seems like it's all on who you know. Others say Ogdensburg is corrupt. They're leaving. Codes doesn't have time, manpower, I guess, the money to make the equitable for all taxpayers. We have a business that answers or We have businesses that signed the affidavit the same way daycare providers signed it, but they weren't targeted. They're not paying next year. Why? But they aren't being charged. 10 businesses are off on the initial letter. How many more letters have gone out to businesses? Also, how has the codes department hired a third employee when they're already over their budget for the year? Codes has so much going on, they haven't been told, codes has so much going on, we have been told, if we want to drop a list off in the Dropbox at City Hall, go ahead, there's no cameras out there. But the last time I knew, we didn't work for the city, or did we get a raise? Raises went up at the last meeting, how? We have no money. Did you look into the charter on that? The city money for someone to write grants, why not upgrade the computer system? I wouldn't want it to crash again. But we didn't get the DRI grant. Also, I believe in the city, you all have tablets, you should Google and help codes out. If you have any further questions, please contact me, the phone number, my email's on here. Looking forward to the next meeting for answers and questions. And I'll give this to Kathy for the minutes. And that was hopefully we can help that.
Thank you, Erin. Now, if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time. You'll have 5 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
Brings us to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence tonight?
We do not.
Now we have our consent agenda that the claims is enumerated in general fund warrant number 8-2025, the amount of $592,311.60, and library warrant number 8-2025 in the amount of $0, and capital fund warrant number 8-2025 in the amount of $22,894.50, and community development fund warrant number 8-2025 in the amount of $75.98, and community renewal fund warrant number 8-2025 in the amount of $0, as audited, being the same hereby are ordered paid. I so move.
Second.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
approved.
We don't have any appointments tonight, so that brings us items for council action. The first item of business, we read by City Manager Fonda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution to enter into an agreement with St. Lawrence County for the program delivery of the New York Swims Lifeguard Grant Program.
Just a brief update.
Sure, county received $50,000 to support lifeguard activities within the county. This is a revenue contract. The city's portion of that is $5,556.
Questions or comments? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will also be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution authorizing acceptance and approval of additional environmental consulting services with Paradigm Environmental LLC outlined in their proposal dated April 24, 2025 for services at 30 Main Street.
Move that.
Second that?
Sure. Yeah, this is a contract amendment. 30 Main Street is required to have what's called a SWEP, so that's a stormwater pollution prevention plan. Part of that plan is to have the location monitored 4 times a month. Paradigm does that work. That monitoring cannot end until there's grass coverage on 30 Main Street at 80% or more. We're not at 80% or more, so we need to continue with that monitoring, but we're up against it as far as their do not exceed amount.
Questions or comments?
I think somebody was down there and ate. That's all. Grass line.
I hope it's a lot of grass. But yes, you are correct. We've been working hard to get the contractor out again, and we're holding retainage until we can transfer.
Excellent.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
approved.
Brings us to old business. Does everyone have any old business this evening?
couple items. First of all, I think the ladies that brought up the business addressed already in terms of trying to discover home businesses that would sort of meet the new code, or actually would meet the new code. I think it's a valid point. I'm not sure what the city is doing to do that. And one of the questions was, may not be able to answer that right now, but if we can get an update on that in the future, that would be helpful.
Sure, we'll provide an update for you in the next council meeting.
All right, thank you. And then the second thing, I did bring up an RFP or at the last meeting. I know you threw out there an RFP or an RFQ, and on the Diamond property. And I'd like to move forward with that ASAP. I don't know if there's a holdup. It seemed like most of council was ready to sort of move forward or something like that. And I don't know how soon we can move to something like that. I'm hoping for maybe a RFP or something like that. Discussion.
So we have some pre-development funds with our MOA program still available. So we met with members of the state to see if we could leverage those dollars. I can certainly put together an RFP or RFQ, but that's a pretty big site. It's a pretty important site, and I would much rather market that more effectively than what I put together and put the publisher and and so we're trying to leverage those dollars to put together something that's more impressive. I know you were around for the first round of RFPs, and that document that went out was quite impressive. And I would like to get that document updated. So we're hoping to be able to leverage those dollars, and the state's going to get back to us. If we can't leverage those dollars, that's fine.
Okay, good. I know it's grant season. I heard from some potential developers that are interested in approaching the city soon, so.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for old business.
Anyone else old business? I would just keep on the table under old business and follow up to Council Scamperly that consideration going forward needs to reflect potential availability late next year of the Shade Roller Fountain. And while I'm anxious to see Diamondback on the tax rolls was something productive, I don't know that it would be in our best interest to market that absent Shade Roller. So I think it should be part of the discussion as we entertain an idea about RFP or RFQ. That brings us to new business. Does anyone have any new businesses?
I have one item, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
I would like to ask that at our next city council meeting, we have an education, a presentation by codes concerning vacant buildings and unauthorized occupants. We had a fire recently in our community that was pretty large, and it could have been a lot worse than what it was. We've had complaints from neighbors for quite some time about unauthorized occupants in that building, and they were exactly fearful of what happened. I know there are other buildings that have unauthorized occupants in them, and I know that we have some constraints with how that can be handled. I think that if we had a public education session, 10, 15 minutes about that and what codes can and cannot do, it would help our citizens understand better what can happen and what can't happen. So I'd like to ask if that please be arranged for the next meeting.
I'm happy to provide that. I would ask that we have it 2 meetings and not 1. We'd like to do a good job putting that together for you.
That would be fine. Because we do have other buildings that have significant unauthorized users in them. And they're just afraid that this is going to happen more and more frequently as people are trying to cook, keep warm, do things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I will just point out that a vast majority of those buildings do have an owner, and there's a responsibility with the owner as well. But we'll get that together.
Thank you. I'm aware of that.
Any other new business? So that brings us to items for discussion. Is there any items for discussion tonight? So that brings us to citizen participation. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium. You'll have 2 minutes. If anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time, and you will have 2 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
We do have a resolution to adjourn to executive session. Whereas City Manager Fonda Cronis requests an executive session with members of the Augsburg City Council to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. And whereas New York State Open Meetings Law permits City Council to adjourn to executive session for such purpose, now therefore be it resolved that City Council adjourn to executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. And be it further resolved that any action resulting from this executive session shall be taken in open session. I so move. Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
approved.
And we will be inviting DPW Director Shane Brown to join council in executive session this evening. We do not anticipate any action following executive session, so I make a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned following executive session.